It's Wednesday night. It's time to meet more of Eric's heroes. And this week, it's someone that all of us here in the state of Washington should be very proud of.
Absolutely. And it's also a little personal for me. It's the story about a gifted writer and a wonderful teacher. And it's a reminder that if we open our eyes, greatness can be found all around us. In fact, sometimes it's just down the street.
At East Valley High School in the Spokane Valley in 1980, there was a teacher who saw things in me that I didn't know existed. Her name was Joanne Clark. She taught English and writing and journalism. I wrote short stories for her. I was her pet, and based on no evidence whatsoever, I considered myself to be East Valley's finest writer. We corresponded after high school, and she started telling me about some new kid 3 years younger. "You would like Jess Walter," she said. "He reminds me of you." I was irritated. Never heard of the bum, I thought. I'm the writer from those parts. Once she wrote and said, "Jess Walter got a job with the Spokesman Review newspaper." Big deal, I thought. Then it was, "Jess Walter is working on a novel." "Who isn't?" sneered yours truly. Time went by. Jess Walter wrote several novels. I couldn't be bothered. Once I actually broke down and bought one of his books, though. I read 2 pages and convinced myself that I hated it. Such was my small-mindedness that I was actually relieved. Then, at a celebrity softball game a couple years ago, I ran into the great writer Sherman Alexie. I casually asked him, "Have you ever heard of Jess Walter?"
You asked me if I knew this fellow named Jess Walter from Spokane, this writer. And I said, yes, he's a great friend of mine, and he's one of the best writers in the country, probably the best writer in the country, and that he just got robbed of the Pulitzer. Yeah, he got robbed of the Pulitzer.
So I ran down and bought his most recent novel, Beautiful Ruins, and started reading.
The dying actress arrived in his village the only way one could come directly, in a boat that motored into the cove, lurched past the rock jetty, and bumped against the end of the pier.
It was fantastic. It was better than fantastic. It was one of the most enjoyable novels I'd ever read. My petty little one-sided rivalry came to a screeching and ignominious halt.
So then I had a 1970 Mustang with a big...
Jess Walter, world-class novelist, met me at East Valley High School the other day.
You know, I can just remember walking out here and walking to my car. And, yeah.
Joanne Clark has been gone for 24 years now.
So Joanne's would have been
right
like one of these, right?
Yeah, right in here.
Where I was Joanne's favorite student. You were, so I thought. You were her favorite for a while. We'll leave it at that. How dare you? I remember her, you know, just saying, you could be so good, you could do so much. And at times I resented that, at times it made me feel guilty. And when I look back, there are teachers like that who you owe everything to. So by junior high, I was the editor of the newspaper and writing short stories and poems and going in the library and crouching down and imagining where my books would someday go. So I can't ever remember not having that dream.
Jess's stories about our favorite teacher are similar to mine.
And for someone to take an interest in you and say, hey, you can do better than this. And you know, she was always pushing me to read better, to write better, to take my talent seriously. That was Joanne. I mean, she was, her disappointment in you was just as profound as her pride.
Had I been paying attention, I'd have known that Beautiful Ruins was a #1 New York Times bestseller, that his book Every Knee Shall Bow was the definitive telling of the Ruby Ridge standoff, that his novel The Zero was a finalist for the National Book Award, that Citizen Vince won the Edgar Allan Poe Award for mystery writing, that this man had actually done what I only talked about.
So right behind this row of houses,
we went to the East Trent area of the Spokane Valley to reminisce.
I mean, it was always this kind of, you know, blend of working class, you know, lower middle class houses.
That's the house Jess grew up in, where his dreams took hold.
I do feel like being a writer was as formative for me as anything. We did not go to church growing up, so I think of it as my faith in a way. It's the way I look at the world.
He has a new book out now. It's called The Cold Millions. It's set in Spokane in 1910. It's about labor activists and free speech riots and the world as it was.
You can't go anywhere in Spokane without encountering the ghosts of 1910.
It's a fantastic read, and it starts like this.
They woke on a ball field. Bums, tramps, hobos, stiffs. 24 of them spread out on bedrolls and blankets in a narrow floodplain just below the skid, past taverns, tanners, and tents. Shotgun shacks hung like hounds' tongues over the Spokane River.
Yeah, he can write all right. The reviews are over the moon.
I think it was, turning my eyes back on the place that I was from and thinking, literature can come from here too. This is where I'm from. I want to write about this place. I want to make it come alive.
Even if I didn't know him, I'd be really proud of him. To rise out of that, to become this international figure, to become this forever writer. I think it's admirable, and it's really easy for me. I'm a fanboy.
The best teachers keep teaching. Joanne Clark's last lesson for me was a little dose of humility and the discovery of a new favorite author, Jess Walter, class of '83, the finest writer to ever come from old East Valley High School in the Spokane Valley. And number 2 isn't even close.
Unbelievable. The connection,
So
the
weird.
teacher. And by the way, I just have to point out, Mrs. Clark is proud of you both.
Oh, I hope so.
Proud of you both, Eric.
Well, we all need to be proud of that guy. This entire state should be proud of
Wow,
Jess
and there's
Walter's
one
success.
more funny connection, right? If you want to share.
Yes, I dated a girl in high school named Annette Hinman. Jess dated her sister, Karen Hinman. The fabulous Hinman sisters. It's a weird connection, right?
It's a weird connection.
Hey, we're always looking for new heroes. Tell us about them if you'd like. Send an email to heroes@comonews.com.
Oh my goodness, Shan. Some stuff. Stranger Than Fiction.
No
Wow.
kidding, no kidding. I just downloaded that book, so can't wait to read it.
Okay, so the extended...